Good morning and welcome to the Arctic Crafts podcast. This is episode 9. My name is Bente and I'm coming to you from Vesterålen, northern Norway, where I live with my husband and 3 cats. And as you can see, one of the cats is sitting right behind me. You can find me on Instagram as Arctic Crafts, on Facebook as Arctic Crafts by Bente, on Etsy as Arctic Crafts by Bente, and on Ravelry as Arctic Crafts 65. All the cats are inside today because winter has arrived. It's cold outside and we've got some snow, so they prefer to be inside. Our cats kind of turn into indoor cats in winter. And as I was saying, it's cold outside today, so okay. There we have, Severus Snape is showing off to his older brother. Look what I can do. Hopefully his older brother won't repeat that because, as you can see, just Severus Snape makes it look a bit wonky. And his brother shouldn't do that. Okay, he's not fat, he's fluffy, but skeptical. Got distracted for a moment. But I want to start with what I'm wearing. I'm wearing 2 fun things today. I'll show the t-shirt first. My husband got me this t-shirt. You can see what it says. I may not have to say it. I don't want anybody to report me for profanity, but I really love this t-shirt. And he got it in purple for me. He wanted to get it in pink, but okay, so I'm a pink princess, but I can wear a pink shawl, right? This shawl is the Close to You by Justina Larkowska. And I really love it. It's a one skein wonder and it's just the right size. And the yarn has a story. Let's start with the beginning. Me and my husband were going to Yorkshire for Easter. We were staying in York and my main target for yarn and fibre was spring into wool. Yes, my main target was spring into wool. And I'm a member on a Facebook page that's called Knit and Natter. Can you shut up? That's called Knit and Natter, Hooked on Our Needles. And I posted a question there. I asked for recommendations for yarn stores in Yorkshire. And one of the stores suggested to me was Knitting Pretty in Knaresborough. And we just entered Knaresborough to the sat-nav. So we were going on a road trip that day. And we decided to head from York towards Knaresborough and make Knaresborough our turning point before we went back to York. And I'm so glad I went to Knitting Pretty. The owner of Knitting Pretty is called Diane Watson, and she was a lovely lady. And we talked a lot about yarn, hand-dyed yarn, and turns out that I think it was the same day, she got in some skeins from George and Rose. And this beautiful pink and purple was called Shepherd's Delight. And I, of course, bought more than one skein. I bought a really colorful one. And this is really colorful. And that red is a bit warmer than this. I'm not too good at this camera stuff yet, but bear with me. I'll probably get better. George and Rose, and this colorway is Macaw. And I checked with Diane this morning before I started recording to find out if George and Rose is available online. The lady dyeing the yarn is called Hannah. That much I could figure out, and she has a Facebook page, George and Rose. I'll link it. And the problem is that she hasn't got an online store. The only place you can get that yarn is at Knitting Pretty in Knaresborough. And sorry about that, because it's really, really lovely and it's so soft. It's 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this. It's really colorful, and I was thinking a pair of socks for myself, because it could make a nice shawl, but it's a bit too colorful for me, because I like knitting shawls with some details, because just garter stitch I get really, really bored. So and lace work would get lost in a yarn this colorful. So it's probably going to be a pair of socks for me. As it is, it's living nicely in my stash with all the other beauties I have there. Yes, I have a sizable stash, and I dye yarn myself, so I have quite a lot of yarn. And that's about it, about what I'm wearing. I started this shawl in New York. I actually cast it on the same day, because I don't go anywhere without my knitting needles and a knitting project. So I had some spare needles, so I cast this on the same day when we got back to the hotel. I didn't finish it for months, but that's another story, because it hibernated for a while. Because, you know, all the nice and pretty things and all the yarn I bought at Spring Into Wool and everything, so... And we have a poser in the background. Pretty kitty. His name is Harry, by the way. The one on top of the cat tree. His name is Harry. And I'm pointing that way because I get confused. Let's talk a bit about my finished objects. I actually have two. I haven't got a lot of knitting done on things I can show you, because I'm doing a test knit for rye flower knits that I can't show you, but I'll show you as soon as the pattern is released. But what I have done is I finally finished this pair of Christmas gift socks. I didn't do anything to make them match, but they actually match. I have troubles matching socks when I really try to do it, and this time I didn't do anything to get them to match, and they match. This is knit in Grindle hot socks, Cortina. It's a sport weight yarn, and I knit them on 3mm needles. And this is for one of two brothers. The other pair is already finished, and I think I showed you. Yes. We're going to have some interruptions today. Hopefully the phone doesn't ring or something. The cats are quite enough. I'm always going to tease his bigger brother on top of the cat tree. And because I was knitting on the same things all the time, I decided I needed a palette cleanser. So I cast on this hat. And this is true to color. This is also rye flower knits. And the pattern is called Blue. That's not why I knitted in blue, but the pattern is called Blue. And it came out a little big, but even though it's superwash, if you throw it in the dryer for half an hour, it felts a tiny, tiny bit, so it gets a little bit denser and smaller. This is a gift, by the way. I'm not sure who for, but I used my own gift along as an excuse to cast this on, even though I shouldn't have done, because I had other things to do. But I got to the decreases in one night, so it went fast. Probably because of the cables, because when I knit cables, I want to go to the next cable and then to the next, and it flies off my needles. This yarn is an Aran that I got from Countess Ablaze, and the colorway is Blind Date, and I'm going to explain that to you. Countess Ablaze is a Manchester-based yarn dyer, And she has a lot of gorgeous yarn, and I'm a fan, and I have a lot of Countess of Blaze in my stash. And I wouldn't normally buy an Aran weight, but as the colorway says, it's a blind date. And she has this thing she calls blind dates. You just buy one, and you don't know what you get. You can get anything, and I got that Aran skein the last time I bought a blind date. I've also gotten a sock blank once when I ordered a blind date. So I really recommend the blind dates from Countess of Blaze if you want to have a surprise. And that's my finished object. That's it, actually. I've done a little bit of knitting on other things, but mainly I've been knitting on the test knit. I'm going to show you my first whip. It's in a bag from Busy Pottering, and since I love sushi, I had to have a sushi bag. And this is the kind that you can do this to. So I really love it. I used this at the market. I had it over my wrist and I knit while I was in my booth. Fortunately, I didn't have time to knit a lot because I had loads of customers, and that's just great. This is the sock I was knitting on at the market. It's in my own yarn, and the colorway is Himmel og Hav. And the Progress Keeper, this beautiful sugar skull, is from Mrs. G Makes. And on this, I'm using my normal vanilla sock recipe, 64 stitches and a short row heel. Normally I do a short row heel. On this one I did a garter short row heel, and I use a needle 2.25. I'm not fussy about what sort of needles I use. Sometimes I use DPNs, sometimes I use a 9-inch circular, but magic loop, no thank you. I've tried magic loop, but I get ladders in the sides of the sock. Strangely enough, I don't get any ladders when I use DPNs, but on magic loop I do. But normally when I'm going to make a short row heel, I use 9-inch circulars, and if I'm going to do a heel flap and gusset, I use DPNs. And this is what the yarn looks like in the cake. And this is a real messy cake, but that's mostly because it's been traveling in the bag. And you remember the Dumbly shawl by Kay Jones? And this bag is also from Busy Pottering. Can you tell that I love Busy Pottering bags? Last time I showed you 2 Christmas bags from Busy Pottering. I had some work done on the Dumbly shawl, and it's starting to get big. So this is now absolutely TV and couch knitting. And I'm in the middle of a row again. I was in the middle of the row the last time I showed you this shawl as well. So I'm a real professional, as you can tell. And I'm knitting this on 4.5 millimeter needles. And I'm knitting this with my own worsted, merino worsted. And the colorways are antique silver and fireweed. Fireweed is called geitrams in Norwegian, and we have loads of it, especially along the roads, on the roadsides we have loads of it. So my husband suggested the name. He's good with that sometimes. I just show him a new colorway and say what I call this thing. And on that he just said geitrams in Norwegian. We don't speak English. In the house we speak Norwegian. Surprise, surprise. And I then had to Google what geitrams was called in English. And I found 2 different names. We had the fireweed in North America. And now I can't remember what it was called in English. But it was fireweed in North America, and I like that name. I like the sound of it better than the one from England. And that's about it for whips. And the secret test knit, I can't wait to show you that because those socks are gorgeous. Yes, it's a pair of socks. And I'm knitting it in one of my own colors. So can't wait to show you. And I think it's due this week, next week, hopefully next week, because I'm not done with them. I'm about halfway on the second sock. The first sock is done, but I'm about halfway on the second sock, and it's the pattern is involved. Let's say that. So I can't. It's not exactly TV knitting. If there's something I'm not having to pay too much attention to, if we look at old episodes of Escape to the Country, for example, or something on YouTube, I can knit on them, but not else. I can't do that. And I have something else to tell you. Next week, I'm not able to record a podcast on Friday because I'm going to do something scary on Friday. I've been doing this entrepreneur course, and the last thing we're going to do is next Friday, and we're going to do what they call a pitch. And that's all the participants in the course is going to talk about their project. We have a maximum of 7 minutes, and we have to convince some people there that we're worth using money on and spending money on. And it's kind of a dragon's den, but really, really local and small. And it's not a lot of money, but for somebody just starting up like I am, everything helps. And I've made some samples for the jury. I know, sneaky. And I've made this tiny 10-gram skeins of sport weight nebula. I had to reskein the yarn to make these. And nebula was the colorway I thought would look best if I reskeined it. Because nebula has these pink splotches. It's actually a really hot pink that I overdye with purple. So it looks like this. And I'm pleased with these. So I'm going to hand these out to the jury with my online information on the back. So that's both scary and exciting, but I'm not counting on winning any prizes because I'm not doing anything innovative. I'm just trying to make my own workplace. I'm trying to make some money on my yarn dyeing, and I'm not doing that yet, but I didn't expect to the first year. So, and I think next Thursday next Thursday I'm recording a podcast. That was what I was about to say. So I'm one day early next week, so maybe even less content, because this week I haven't been able to dye any yarn, and next week I'm dyeing, I think, almost every day until Thursday, because I spend almost all day the days I'm podcasting, because first I record the podcast and then I have to edit it afterwards. So I use approximately an entire working day when I podcast. I'll probably be able to do it quicker as I get more used to it, but I still do some mistakes when I edit, and I have to do everything all over again, and sometimes I start recording and something happens and I'm not pleased with what it looks like when you edit, and you have to cut and remove a bit and then start again. I don't like the transitions, but I have to get used to it, I guess, because I can't do this forever and not have anything happen while I'm recording. So I have to practice, I suppose. But as I was saying, next week I'll be dyeing yarn, and I've prepared some 50-gram skeins because I'm dyeing Deck the Halls on Monday, because Deck the Halls is selling, so I have to restock Deck the Halls, and I'm also going to dye up some existing colorways, but I really crave some color, so I'll probably come up with something new next week. I want to experiment a bit because these last few weeks have been really busy, so I've been exhausted and I haven't. Yesterday I could be dying because I didn't have anything else to do apart from housework, but it's been a busy few weeks, so I felt like just taking a day off. I have lots of goodies in the Etsy shop, so if you want to go in there and look, there's lots of stuff there. And that's it for this week. And I'll put some photos at the end, as I normally do. And I'll see you again next Thursday. And there I go again, forgetting something really important. I'm reminding you of the Arctic Gal 2019, the Arctic Crafts gift along. We have the hashtag is Arctic Gal 2019 on Instagram, and in my Ravelry group, the Arctic Crafts podcast group, there's a finished object thread and a chatter thread. And the prizes for the winners are the winner on Instagram gets a pattern of their own choice up to $5 US, and the person winning on Ravelry gets a skein of their own choice of my yarn. And I'm of course using random number generator both places. And there's not a lot of entries in the Facebook group, Ravelry group. So please run along. If you have knitted anything as that's supposed to be a Christmas present, just post it there. And the same goes for Instagram. And if you already posted a picture of a Christmas present, you can always go into Instagram, edit the post and add an hashtag so that I can find your post when I'm doing the drawing. And then I'm going to finish it for this time. And I'll see you again on Thursday next week. I'll probably post it the same day as I record it, so I'm going to be a day early next week. So I hope you have a nice weekend, and I'll see you again on Thursday. Goodbye.